Welcome back to What's Not Sports, guys. This is episode 68 of the Pulse Check. Look, I may have got something working. I'm not sure. Have a look. What's this look like? Yep, the pod mic is back. Hopefully the audio quality is better. 100% hope so. If not, I feel horrible. It says its rating level's good, so fingers crossed. But welcome back to this episode. We've got a lot to unpack from round 5 of the NRL. It was a huge Easter weekend of footy and it was good. It was good. I don't know if you thought it was good, but I 100% thought it was good. So let's dive into that to start off. Let's go through who played, who I tipped, how many I got right. So and then we'll jump into each game. So let's start off with the league loop. We had Dolphins versus Manly, the Bunnies versus the Doggies, Penrith versus Storm, Dragons versus Cowboys, Titans versus the Bronx, Queensland Derby there. The Sharks versus Wars, the Knights versus the Raiders, and the Eels versus Tigers. In the Finns Manly game, I had Manly picked. They took the win there. Bunnies Doggies. I had the Bunnies tip, took the dub there. Thank you very much. Panthers Storm, had the Panthers picked. Thank you again. Dragons Cowboys, had the Cowboys tipped. Sorry. So 4 for 4 already. Then we go into the Queensland Derby. Titans versus Bronx, and I honestly had a lot of faith for the Titans here. No, they didn't. The Bronx got the win there. Sharks versus Wars. I had the Wars pick. The Sharks got the win there. Knights versus Raiders. Obviously, I had the Raiders pick, and the Knights got the win there. Oh, we'll talk about that later. And then Eels versus Tigers. I had the Tigers pick. The Tigers got the win in Golden Point. What a great way to end the Easter weekend. So we were 5 out of 8. Let's jump into a little bit of each game and how it all went. So the Dolphins versus Manly game on Thursday, that was obviously going to be a huge game for Manly in the fact that they just sacked Seabold. It was Kieran Foran's first game as head coach. There were lots of talks. Is he going to be able to step up to it? Are they going to be able to deliver against a team that is actually tough like the Dolphins, especially up in Redcliffe? Well, the buy-in from the team was extraordinary from Manly. The ability where they put 50 points on the Finns, it was 50-0 at one stage, I'm pretty sure. And the Dolphins, I thought were they were the real deal this year. They would be a top 8 side. But Manly, who hadn't won a game all season, went out to the Dolphins' home stadium at KO and pumped them. And it surprised me, and honestly, it's a fantastic performance from them, and a lot of credit goes to Kieran Foran, I think, and, well, the players' buy-in, and the fact that they were playing free-flowing footy, which actually worked really well for them. So, absolutely huge for Manly, but yeah, and they punished the Dolphins. Bunnies versus Doggies, the Good Friday match was absolutely an amazing game. It was tight. For probably 60 minutes of the game, I'd say it was excellent. It was actually very entertaining the whole time. I really enjoyed it. I just want to point out, just like many people, I'm confused with why the Bulldogs decided not to play Cherry, who when Critter was injured, when Cherry is a centre and wants to play on that side, and why you would shift Burton, who's playing in the halves with Lockie Galvin. You shift him to centre and then you bring in Sean O'Sullivan. It just didn't make sense. Gus Gould said that there is a reason behind it, blah, blah, blah. But do we really believe Gus? Is he just saying stuff for PR? Probably. But it is very interesting there, because I don't believe it. The Bunnies are actually a very serious threat this season. Like I said, Bunnies at full strength, they're not to be messed with. And that's the statement that I have been trying to harp on this whole time. They are a very strong side, and we saw it. Jai Gray could be the man I need for Origin, especially with Reece Walsh out. If you get that reference, you get it. But he's an incredible young talent, and he is playing so well. And it was just, he's really enjoyable to watch, just as the South team is when they are playing like that. It was great. Now, Panthers versus Storm. Wow. This game absolutely shocked me because I said this would be a close match. I said it would be a good matchup. Penrith just is the most dominant team I've ever seen this early into the comp. We saw multiple records broken by Penrith after this game. One of them being the first NRL team to win the first 5 rounds by 20 points or more. That is ridiculous. They have a huge points difference at the moment that I don't think anyone can compete with. That's a points difference. You're looking at some teams in the top 4, even top 1 or 2, to have at the end of the season, not a points difference that you're expecting at the end of round 5. 50-10 is outrageous when you're playing against a Storm. Like, honestly, if it was any other team in the comp, I would have been like, yeah. But it was the Storm, and when the Storm had a completion rate of over 90%, you just go, what is going on? So they obviously weren't producing the errors or penalties that a team that does lose by 40 points or concedes 50 is. But Jenkins was incredible. Blaze Talangi was incredible. Like all the outside backs, Paul Alamotti, Brian Toto, they were so incredible. Cleary just it looked like he was just playing like park footy. Honestly, he was just doing new stuff, trying new tricks almost, like just having fun with it and just doing what he wanted with the ball. He actually got rested. Yeah, it just was insane. I do want to really point out and this really shows what type of team the Panthers are when I think it was Will Warbrick nearly scored a try and it was in the dying seconds of the game. Penrith made sure they had 6 defenders to shut it down and on one guy. So he couldn't offload, he couldn't have anything. There was 4 guys on him, there was 6 guys on him making sure he couldn't offload, tackling him and making sure that they were set up defensively in case he got to play the ball in time. That's the effort that they're going to when they already are winning by 40 points. It's 50-10 and they're making sure that the Storm don't score a last-minute dying try to make it 14-50. Like, that is insane. But Penrith are just so scary, and that is what nightmares are made of. The Dragons versus Cowboys game. The Cowboys are starting to look strong, and to put it bluntly, the Dragons aren't. The Dragons have a lot of problems. There's now talks about trying to bring Cade Reid in the next few weeks, but he's a young talent, and you're going to put pressure on him as a young half when you're a team that is last, and then it's like you're going to switch the blame onto him. It's not really cool. I just don't think that's what... Like, I understand, like, young talents, bringing them in, they could be prodigies. For example, the Raiders have had quite a few. Lockie Galvin's another one. Cleary was young, but their teams weren't under pressure like what the Dragons are. I'm glad they haven't put Cade Reid in yet because they just need to let him develop more. Titans vs Broncos game. The Broncos won, but at what cost? Ben Hunt's gone injured, and so is Reece Walsh. Puts him, Ben Hunt, I'd say definitely a no for Origin 1 and probably Origin 2. Reece Walsh, probably a no for Origin 1. And now with Walshy gone, he is the X factor that the Broncos need. And Ben Hunt is that guy that unlocks Reece Walsh's X factor. And I'm happy to say that. And not having those two play for a while, I think will have a few repercussions. But the Broncos, they do play better under pressure. We'll go into that when we talk about next round. But they got the win over the Titans. The Titans, they're there a little bit. Still, they need to grow on confidence a little bit. I'm definitely still backing the Titans. I would love to see the Titans win a game, another one, not just against the Dragons. Let's see it happen soon rather than later. But they will grow as the season goes on. And honestly, top 8, like, the season doesn't make sense so far. The only thing that makes sense is Penrith being Penrith and being so dominant. That's all that actually makes sense to me. Sharks versus Warriors game. I didn't get the tip right there. The Sharks are looking very strong, and especially to beat this side of the Wars that came flying out of the gates. They've struggled the last 2 weeks. I just think they have, the Wars are struggling. I think next week will be different for them, and they'll come back a little bit stronger than what they have been in the last 2 games. But we'll see what happens. Knights versus Raiders. I don't really want to talk about it too much. It really hurts my soul. Really hurts my soul a lot. I do want to say, though, for the Knights, Fletcher Sharp and Fletcher Hunt, they have stepped up and have come to an insane level since Dylan Brown and Kalen Ponga have been injured. I'm honestly very impressed. It has been an impressive performance from them. They were very impressive on the weekend. And as a Raiders fan, I hated that they were going so well and they were absolutely tearing up the Raiders. And it was just, disappointing on the Raiders. I'm angry. But it is impressive from a non-biased perspective. It's a very impressive, like, what the Knights are doing and what they're starting to build and how they're doing this without their 2 star players. And I'll be honest, Dylan Brown and Kalen Ponga are their star players. Ponga, one of the most paid athletes in the comp, and he's not even playing because he's injured. So for these boys to step up, it is impressive. Eels versus Tigers, Easter Sunday. Wow. Golden point for the last game of the round on Easter Monday. Pretty cool. It was a great game. I feel for the Parramatta fans. A lot of things at our side. Very close. But I do think the call was made. Mitch Moses very much is pestering the refs that we've seen. Probably needs to lock in a little bit and just let the refs just do the job, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to speak too much out of pocket on that one. But you get my gist. Injury-wise, I feel very sorry for Bailey Simonson. That dislocated ankle. It just was not nice watching that. Gave me like the heebie-jeebies. It was a good debut for Upper Twiddle to actually be able to come on, and then he scored that debut try really quickly. But he's succumbed to a AC injury and will be out for 1 to 2 weeks as well. So another fatality almost. The Tigers, they are actually looking very strong, and I'm backing them. They're looking like a good force. Jock Madden's been really good since Luai's been out. And, well, Adam Dewey is just doing Adam Dewey things, and I think everyone honestly loves it. Bang. There we go. Now, that is the recap of round 5. Let's jump into the preview of round 6. Let's run with who we've got. We've got Bulldogs versus Panthers, Dragons versus Manly, Broncos versus Cowboys, Bunnies versus Raiders, Sharks versus Roosters, Storm versus Warriors, Eels versus Titans, and the Tigers versus the Knights. The Bulldogs versus Panthers game, I don't need to explain too much. Penrith are going to win, especially I think with Critter out. I know Cherry is a very good centre, and they brought Cherry into the side. But Critter, their leader, he's got that dog in him. I don't think Penrith can do it without him. I mean, I don't think the Bulldogs can beat Penrith without him. Penrith are just simply too strong. We saw how dominant they were against the Storm, and the Storm just the Storm. They are so incredible. Also, I forgot to mention Stormer on a 3-game losing streak. That doesn't happen often. But yeah, so that's why I'm picking the Panthers for this game. Dragons versus Manly. Fozball. I love it. I'm not a Manly fan, but I'm a Kieran Foran man. That's what I am. I'm a Kieran Foran fan, and I actually love Fozball. It's here, and it is here to stay. An absolute demolish is inbound against the Dragons. You think Manly can put 50 points on Dolphins? Let's think about how many they can put on the Dying Dragons. Because I think it's a lot. The Dragons, they need to start utilising their players, honestly. You got Val Holmes, one of the most incredible centres in the game, and I just don't feel like they're using him to his potential. We talked about the Cade Reid conversation, and now it's lurking more and more. Do we think he'll get the call up, or do we think will get the time to mature that he deserves and won't get forced into a position of playing NRL? It's the question. But yeah, Manly to win that game. Broncos versus Cowboys. Another Queensland derby. I'm backing the Cowboys here just because I'm not 100% sold on Jesse Arthur's stepping up into Reece Walsh's fullback role. I don't think he'll be up for the challenge, especially the Cowboys are actually looking very strong. And I like the Cowboys, and I've been talking to a lot of Broncos fans, got a lot of mates who are Broncos fans, and they are worried about this game and how strong the Broncos are. How strong the Cowboys are. And a lot of them were wondering what would happen with the spine of the Broncos, obviously with Ben Hunt and Reece Walsh out. Pags back at hooker. Ezra Mann, 5'8". Reynolds is back playing 7. You got Jesse Arthur's at not halfback, at fullback. I just don't think it is enough. But in saying that, I said it earlier, the Broncos perform the best under pressure, but will the Cowboys get the win done? I think they do. Now, Bunnies versus Raiders. We head over to Perth for this game. Go over the other side of Australia. We get away from the East Coast and we're going west. Because west is best, but it's actually not. But west is best, apparently, allegedly. I can't not back the Raiders, so I'm tipping them. But they really need to step up because this Bunnies team is ruthless. We saw what they did to the Bulldogs, who is known to be such a very strong and defensively strong team. And that defense wasn't that strong against the Bunnies. And the Bunnies at full strength with the team that they've got, it is deadly. And if the Raiders don't pull their finger out, I think we'll struggle. We've got Savage out this weekend due to injury. Jed Stewart's back in, and honestly, I'm happy with that. I really like Jed Stewart, and Jed Stewart 100%, I believe, is better defensively. You can tell me I'm wrong and say whatever, but that is my own opinion, and I think, I'm not saying he's got the X factor that Xavier has. He doesn't, but his performance defensively, I feel, is much stronger. And that's my thought on that. So the Milk need to pull out their finger to beat South because South, they are hungry. Obviously, you're going up against Jack White and a former player of the Raiders. Latrell Mitchell he's looking like a scary man at the moment. It is just, they're going to have to be the Raiders of last season to beat the Bunnies. And unfortunately for the Raiders, the Bunnies aren't the team that they were last year. That was riddled with injuries that we could just punish easily when they were riddled with injuries. It's something that we're going to have to pull our finger out for. Sharks versus Roosters, they're also playing over the ditch. Well, not the ditch, sorry. They're also playing over West. I'm going to say purely off the Roosters coming off a bye. I like that for them. They came off that big win against Manly before Anthony Seibold got sacked. They then got, well, I don't want to say rewarded because it's like, it just happens. You get a bye. They had the bye round, and I feel like that week off is going to give them the edge. The Roosters already a very strong team, and the Sharks also very strong. But it's going to be it was always going to be a tough game, and the fact that the Roosters are going to be much more fresher than what the Sharks are, I think they're going to be a little bit stronger, and that will be the demise of the Sharks, and that's how the Roosters will win. But also alternative, they didn't play last week, so they don't have the momentum. Maybe that's not carrying on from their win against Manly. Those other outlines, but I do think the Roosters will get the win over the Sharks. Storm versus Warriors. I've got to pick the Storm here because no way do they go 4 losses in a row. I just can't. I can't compute it. Honestly, I kind of want to see it, and now I want to tip the Wires, but I've already written it down. I've got the Storm tipped. It's the only option. They have to win here because Craig Bellamy will just go ballistic if they don't. The Warriors will make it a very good game. Ooh, whoa. What happened there? Sorry. I don't know if that just happened to you guys. But the Warriors will make this a very good game. And I think that's like, I like Luke Metcalf, but he hasn't been up to like what we saw last year. Tanner Boyd, on the other hand, has absolutely been cooking up. Having the halves pairing back of Harris Tavita and Tanner Boyd together, I like that, and I think that's going to make a very good game. But the Storm will win. Parramatta versus Titans. The Titans are still building, and I believe that they will take advantage of this very injury-riddled Parramatta side. They've got like 4 players out. No Pezzett, no Simonson. We saw Twiddle come in. No Twiddle now because he's injured. I think there's one more. Parramatta have been stitched up with those injuries. Yes, it's unlucky, but it happens. And I think the Titans are going to take advantage of that, and it'll cost the game for Parramatta. So I'm backing the Titans here. And to finish off the week, we've got the Tigers versus the Knights. I have sung my praises for both teams about how they performed last week. Fletcher Sharp, Fletcher Hunt, both incredible. I think the Titans will get up here, and I'm tipping them. They have the momentum. They don't have the injuries. Yes, the Luai's out, but I've been really impressed with how Jock Madden has stepped up. And also, Adam Doueihi, so good. I just said it earlier. Adam Doueihi has been so good. He's an absolute weapon this season. And they're going to beat the Knights. Bang. That is round 6 done. There is your preview for that. We will look back at this next week. Very good, very nice. Guys, I think we've got to start thinking of a punishment for me. And by punishment, I mean a punishment for my team losing. So every time the Raiders lose, I got to do something like negative. Well, not negative, but like there'll be a punishment. Every time the Raiders win, I get a reward, and I get to wear my Raiders merch back on the pod. I can't do that right now because they keep losing. But yeah, maybe we do that. I'll put this up on Instagram. I've been very lazy on the social media game, but I'll get better at it. We'll be back in the next few weeks with it. I think I'm going to start making some content of the studio and the progress of that. And yeah, but that's all I've got for today. That's Pulse Check. Penrith, they own the comp right now. Can anyone step up to them? And that is the question of Pulse Check episode 68. Catch you on the next episode.